Trevor Milton was once called the next Elon Musk. He wasn't a brilliant engineer. He didn't invent a revolutionary battery. He had never built a successful automaker. Yet somehow he convinced the world that he was about to change transportation forever. Investors believed him. The media praised him. Wall Street rewarded him. In just a few years, the company he founded, Nikola, reached a market value of more than $30 billion. For a brief moment, Trevor Milton became one of America's newest billionaires. His story looked like the ultimate American dream. A small-town entrepreneur taking on the biggest names in the automotive industry. A visionary ready to compete with Tesla. A man determined to build the future. But there was one problem. Much of that future existed only in words. One promotional video became the symbol of Nikola's success. It showed a sleek electric truck speeding down an empty highway, convincing millions that the technology was real. The truth was far less impressive. The truck wasn't driving itself. It had simply been rolled down a hill. That single illusion became one of the most infamous moments in modern corporate history. Soon, journalists began asking difficult questions. Former employees started speaking out. Investigators dug deeper. What they uncovered shocked investors around the world. The company that promised to revolutionize transportation had exaggerated many of its biggest achievements. The billionaire who inspired so many people would soon find himself standing in a courtroom instead of a boardroom. How did a young entrepreneur with enormous ambition convince some of the world's smartest investors to believe in a future that barely existed? And how did one of the fastest rising billionaires in America lose almost everything just as quickly? To understand how the dream turned into one of Wall Street's biggest scandals, we have to go back to the very beginning. Part 2. Childhood and the early struggles. Long before he became a billionaire, Trevor Milton was just a boy growing up in rural Utah. He wasn't raised in Silicon Valley. He didn't come from a family of famous entrepreneurs. His childhood was simple, surrounded by farms, small towns, and a community where hard work mattered more than prestige. From an early age, Milton dreamed of building something big. School, however, was never where he felt he belonged. Unlike many famous technology founders, there is little evidence that he excelled academically or showed extraordinary engineering talent as a teenager. Instead, he was fascinated by business. He admired people who could turn ideas into companies. More importantly, he admired people who could convince others to believe in those ideas. After high school, Milton attended college briefly, but never completed a degree. He believed real success would come from taking risks, not sitting in classrooms. Like many aspiring entrepreneurs, he jumped from one business opportunity to another. Some ventures focused on online advertising. Others involved classified websites and small startup ideas. None of them turned him into the successful businessman he imagined. Several companies struggled. Some quietly disappeared. Others generated little attention. Each failure could have convinced him to find a stable career. Instead, they strengthened his confidence that the next idea would be the one that changed everything. Friends and former colleagues often described Milton as incredibly persuasive. He had a natural ability to make people excited about ambitious visions. Even when the details were unclear, his confidence rarely wavered. That confidence became his greatest strength. It also planted the seeds of his greatest downfall. Around this time, the world was beginning to embrace electric vehicles. Tesla was proving that a startup could challenge century-old car manufacturers. Investors were searching for the next revolutionary company. Trevor Milton saw an opportunity that few others recognized. If Tesla could transform passenger cars, perhaps another company could reinvent commercial trucks. He believed he had found the idea that would finally make him rich. What started as an ambitious dream would soon become Nikola, a company that promised to reshape the future of transportation and make its founder one of the richest entrepreneurs in America. Part 3. The Rise to Success. In 2014, Trevor Milton officially founded Nikola Motor Company. The name was no accident. It honored Nikola Tesla, the legendary inventor whose work had inspired the modern electric vehicle industry. The message was clear. If Tesla had transformed passenger cars, Nikola would transform the trucking industry. It was a bold promise. Commercial trucks were responsible for a significant share of global emissions, and many experts believed hydrogen-powered vehicles could become the next major breakthrough. Milton presented Nikola as the company that had already found the answer. His vision was enormous: zero-emission trucks, hydrogen fueling stations across North America, lower operating costs than diesel, a cleaner future for the transportation industry. It sounded almost too good to be true. Investors loved it. The media loved it. Every presentation made the future seem closer than ever. Milton wasn't selling trucks. He was selling hope. He spoke with absolute confidence. He predicted thousands of trucks on the road. He announced massive production plans. He revealed partnerships with suppliers and manufacturers. Each announcement attracted even more attention. As Tesla's success pushed investors toward clean energy startups, Nikola became one of the hottest companies in America. Then came the moment that changed everything. In 2020, Nikola went public through a SPAC merger, allowing the company to enter the stock market without a traditional IPO. The excitement was immediate. Nikola's stock price surged. Within days, the company was valued at more than $30 billion. For a brief period, Nikola was worth more than Ford Motor Company, despite having delivered virtually no commercial trucks to customers. Trevor Milton's personal fortune exploded. On paper, he became a billionaire almost overnight. Television interviews celebrated him as a visionary entrepreneur. Business magazines compared him to Elon Musk. Many believed Nikola would become the next giant of the automotive industry. Then, another historic announcement pushed the excitement even higher. General Motors agreed to a strategic partnership with Nikola. The news sent an unmistakable signal to investors. One of the world's largest automakers appeared to believe in Trevor Milton's vision. Confidence reached an all-time high. Few people stopped to ask the most important question: how much of Nikola's technology had actually been proven? The answer would soon shake Wall Street to its core. Part 4: The Height of Fame. For a moment, Trevor Milton seemed unstoppable. He had become the face of one of the fastest-growing companies in America. Every television appearance attracted millions of viewers. Every interview reinforced the same message. Nikola wasn't just building trucks, it was building the future. Investors admired his confidence. Employees believed they were part of something historic. Young entrepreneurs looked up to him as proof that bold dreams could still become billion-dollar realities. His social media accounts became another powerful tool. Milton regularly posted ambitious updates about Nikola's progress. He spoke directly to investors, often promising breakthroughs that appeared just around the corner. Every announcement fueled even more excitement. His growing reputation opened doors that had once seemed impossible. Business leaders wanted to meet him. Politicians praised the potential of clean transportation. Major corporations explored partnerships with Nikola. The company's headquarters expanded. Hiring accelerated. The vision became larger with every passing month. On paper, Trevor Milton had achieved everything he had dreamed of. He was wealthy. He was famous. He was leading a company valued higher than some of the oldest automakers in the world. Yet behind the headlines, pressure was beginning to build. Nikola still faced enormous technical challenges. Many of its bold promises had yet to become reality. Developing hydrogen infrastructure would require billions of dollars. Producing reliable commercial trucks was proving far more difficult than presenting futuristic concepts on stage. Inside the company, some employees reportedly questioned whether public statements were moving faster than actual engineering progress. Outside the company, almost no one noticed. The stock price remained strong. The media continued celebrating Trevor Milton as one of America's newest visionary founders. But every great illusion depends on one thing: people must continue believing it. And in September 2020, that belief would begin to collapse. Part 5: The Fall, the Scandal, and the Truth. Everything began to unravel on September 10th, 2020. A short report published by the investment research firm Hindenburg Research accused Nikola of being an intricate fraud built on dozens of lies. The report spread across Wall Street within hours. Its allegations were explosive. It claimed Nikola had repeatedly exaggerated the capabilities of its technology. It questioned whether many of the company's biggest announcements had any real foundation. Then came the accusation that captured the world's attention. the famous promotional video showing the Nikola 1 truck driving across a desert highway. According to the report, the truck had not been powered by its own engine. Instead, it had been towed to the top of a gentle hill and allowed to roll downhill while cameras recorded the footage. The company had titled the video, Nikola 1 in Motion. Technically, the truck was moving, but it wasn't driving itself. The revelation became a symbol of everything critics believed was wrong with Nikola. More allegations followed. Investigators claimed Trevor Milton had misled investors about the company's technology, production capabilities, and business progress. Pressure mounted almost overnight. Nikola's stock price plunged. Billions of dollars in market value disappeared. Investors who had once celebrated Milton now demanded answers. Just 10 days after the Hindenburg report was released, Trevor Milton resigned as executive chairman of Nikola. He insisted he had done nothing wrong. But the investigations were only beginning. The U.S. Department of Justice and the Securities and Exchange Commission launched separate investigations into his public statements. In July 2021, federal prosecutors charged Milton with multiple counts of securities fraud and wire fraud. They alleged that he had knowingly made false and misleading statements to convince investors to buy Nikola stock. The case went to trial in 2022. After weeks of testimony, a jury found Trevor Milton guilty on several fraud charges. The man once celebrated as the future of clean transportation now faced the possibility of spending years behind bars. His reputation collapsed. His fortune evaporated. The billionaire who had promised to change the world had become one of the most infamous examples of corporate deception in modern American history. The dream that had once been worth more than $30 billion had been built on promises that reality could not support. Part 6. Where is Trevor Milton now? For Trevor Milton, the story didn't end when he stepped down from Nikola. The investigations continued for years, and the courtroom eventually replaced the conference stage where he had once unveiled his grand visions. In 2022, a federal jury found him guilty of misleading investors through a series of false statements about Nikola's technology and business progress. In December 2023, he was sentenced to 4 years in federal prison. The man who had once been worth billions was now remembered not as a revolutionary entrepreneur, but as one of the most controversial figures in startup history. Meanwhile, Nikola struggled to recover. The company delivered some commercial trucks after Milton's departure, proving that parts of its vision were technically possible. But the damage to its reputation was immense. Investor confidence never fully returned. Years of financial losses, mounting debt, and declining demand pushed the company deeper into crisis. What had once been one of Wall Street's most exciting clean energy companies became a cautionary tale about hype, unchecked optimism, and the danger of believing promises without proof. Looking back, the biggest secret wasn't that one truck rolled down a hill. It was that millions of people wanted so badly to believe they were witnessing the future that they stopped asking whether the future had actually arrived. Trevor Milton understood something that many entrepreneurs never do. A compelling story can sometimes be more powerful than a finished product. For a while, that story made him a billionaire. Eventually, the truth caught up. His rise remains one of the fastest in modern business history. His fall was just as spectacular. Perhaps the greatest lesson from Trevor Milton's story is that innovation alone doesn't build lasting companies. Trust does, because once trust is lost, no valuation, no headline, and no billion-dollar dream can bring it back. What do you think? Was Trevor Milton a visionary whose ambition went too far? Or was he simply a businessman who built an empire on deception from the very beginning? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below.